All right, guys, how you doing? My name is Joseph Downey, and I'm the manager of Tommy. Okay, Tommy is a young fella behind me, Thomas McLaughlin, Tommy Tucker, who died by suicide in 2009. So I started a program working with two football clubs in 2011, where I took resources which were readily available and I stuck their logos and graphics on it. And what had happened was it created a connection with the material. So if it comes from Cathal Bruga, you guys are more likely to read it than if it came from Tommy. And that was the sort of the logic behind my approach to mental health and emotional well-being. We are now an established charity. We have been since 2015. I head up the Irish Football Associations. I head of the game programme, deliver regionally, and I work with, through my programme, Changemakers, 80 clubs at a local level in North Belfast, where we're based. We work with all the post-primaries and 10 primary schools, promoting mental health through games. So that's just a bit of history about sort of my background. I'm a coach, I'm a secretary of a club, so I understand what way club dynamics work, and I'm also a player. So I've got a perspective from a parent, a player, a coach, and a committee member. I wear many hats and many t-shirts, but tonight I'm your lovely facilitator, and I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you tonight. So I'm going to share my screen, and can you see the presentation, guys?
Yep.
Right. So my club and mental health, let me see. So this was going to cover what is mental health, signs to look out for, and how to promote mental health in your club. Okay. And like I said, it's an introductory level course. No one's going to leave here a master of mental health and emotional well-being. I'm just going to make you a bit more knowledgeable to start the conversation that internally as a club, you can start to think about what you can do to serve the 150 members that you have. Okay. So the first task, okay, is I'm going to put you in teams, and I want you to design a water polo hat. Normally it's a football kit, but use your water polo. And I want you to say, what does mental health mean to you? You can use words or drawings. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share for a moment. I'm going to put you in the two breakout rooms. And all you have to do is draw a wee hat. Okay, now I've made a really bad sort of effort, as you can see. It's my water polo hat. Okay, so nominate someone in your team. Everybody throw something in terms of what your views are, and I will give you 5 minutes and come back and feedback. Tell me the two groups about what mental health means to you guys, and then I can see where we are as a group. Okay, so I'm going to put you in the wee rooms now. Nominate someone as a facilitator and design a hat. Okay, all right, and on let's go. Okay, so if it's going to be breakout rooms, 5 minutes.
I don't think he has a microphone.
I just pop in to say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Joe. Joe, have you got a paper and pencil?
Look, you've got paper and pencil.
So we'll have a couple of ideas. We're kind of thinking it's mental health as two sides. So like a tortured side and like a peaceful side. So some of the ideas were like for the non-relaxed side, like volcanoes and what was the other one? Horns. And then on the soft side, we were thinking like clouds and then we were thinking about maybe adding resilience and strength in there as well.
Well, that's
Maybe we
exactly.
could do like a hat with like 5 fingers, and I don't know. That's maybe going a wee bit too far in 5 minutes.
That's not wrong. That's what this is about. So here, who's Kieran? You look like you're being artistic.
I'm drawing here now.
Hey, I want you're gonna produce Lynn's vision of this amazing hat that she described.
It wasn't my vision. It was a collective.
Right.
Can you see that? Hold on, I need a black pen.
Just pop
Got
in.
up to take a wee screenshot there.
Say hello. I'm gonna pop into the RV room, but just want to make sure it's all right. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good.
Kieran, that is amazing.
Hello, Darren. Were you late to the party?
Just
Just call them to say hello, guys. Hope you are well. I'm just gonna have someone to come in later. He's getting on all right. Who's the designer?
Damien.
Yeah, I mean, the other one's very artistic, so I'm looking forward to the presentations now. Just task is enough. Good conversation that is. Happy days. See you. I'm gonna get you in 1 minute, all right? Let me see. Bigger room. All right, Darren, I'll get you in the wee second. Everybody's be coming back in a minute. Close all rooms. There you go. They're just in breakout rooms, Darren, in case you're wondering where everybody is. Buddy, in the first task.
No problem.
There's another task coming up, so I'll get you in there.
Okay. Sorry, I was late there. Coming
No, don't worry about it, buddy. Don't worry about it. You're a Man City fan.
No, my son's at Liverpool. I had to chase him.
All right. Welcome back. Everybody should be starting to pop up on the screens.
and you're back in the room.
So, Darren has joined us. Just to explain, Darren, what's happened is the guys been put in the room and they've been asked to design a water polo hat about what mental health means to them. Okay, so Kieran, can you give us a wee quick sort of look at your amazing what? Now, this is one of the funkiest hats I've ever seen.
See it all right.
Right. So can you talk us through your hat, buddy, to the group? What mental health means to you guys?
I think Lynn's going to do that for us, or Paula, is it, or Fiona? Who wants to go through that?
Well, that's good. Kieran, hold it up, one of you guys. Now, Lynn, you were so vocal about this amazing hat, and he has designed your vision. He's designed your vision.
I've done my best.
Well,
Right.
present your hat. Let's do your vision.
Hold it up till we see it then.
All right,
It's
so
on the other screen.
You not see it, Lynn?
Right, I can see it now. So mental health, we had I think Fiona started the ball rolling there with saying that it was twofold. So there was positive mental health, maybe negative mental health, and what that meant to us was like a turbulent side, an unsettled side, maybe an anxious side, or an angry side. So that was the horns, and then the kind of peaceful side and was the clouds, and the volcano was kind of the negative side as well. And we've got a
A nice meandering river. Don't forget the meandering river.
See, I knew this was going to happen. See, you asked me to do it and McGurk takes over. So I will pass it to the director and chairman of the club to finish off. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Lynn. Brilliant. Round of applause for Lynn representing. Thank you very much. Now here, the Miranda and River. Speak to me here. The Miranda and River, what does it mean?
What's a meandering river mean?
Yes.
You're on mute.
Mute. Mute.
It's getting old.
How's that? Is that better now?
Yes.
I mean,
Miranda and River.
peaceful contentment, you know.
Peaceful content. Yeah, the water as a water polo club. Well done.
But Fiona had mentioned that it was fluid. So it's fluid. You can go from one mood to the next mood. It's ever changing. You're not always in one state of mind. So we thought that was good.
That's brilliant because the wee video will show you after the continuum pops up. Now, the next artiste was Damien's iPad. Damien, can you put your...
Whoa.
Oh, look at that for a water polo hat. It's got the whole water polo river and everything in it. 2 seconds, get a wee picture. Let me see. Go ahead, Damien. Who's presenting your...
Damien is.
Here it is.
Unfortunately, pretty much mental health. We had said that just different wee things and shouted out different things. Like to say the plus and then the minus, positives, negatives. Even sort of we did like a wee okay, but as I was saying, I don't know if that's a gang symbol now, and we're
That's
allowed
okay
to
to
use that.
talk, so that's still...
So like I say, okay, and if you're feeling that, then we were doing like hands together, sort of. So it's like you say, just we're all in it together. You know, it's not just one person who can suffer from mental health. We can all suffer from mental health. Unfortunately, it's not discriminatory. You know, it can affect younger right through the older. I wrote the word flux. You know, that's kind of typing into what they were saying, where you know your mood can change between being up. I had sort of a triangle going up, as in your mood being up, triangle being down. Name it, all the love too as well, and all the gang symbols. So that's it.
Absolutely fantastic. Round of applause. Lovely appreciation. Now I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you a wee video about what mental health is, and it should be. See? Sorry, can you hear it okay? Is that low? Let me get the stop share. 1 second, I put my volume up. Share screen.
In our work with clubs, we ask the participants to design a
Can you hear it okay?
that shows what mental health means to them. Often, participants would split the kit in two. On one side, they would use a dull, dark color and include words or drawings that represent depression, anxiety, stress, loneliness, relationship breakdown, anger, and sadly, sometimes they would include the word suicide. On the other side, they would select a bright color and include words or drawings that represent happiness, resilience, achieving goals and targets, love, it's okay to talk, and the Take 5 steps for well-being. Often people get mixed up with mental health, including emotions, feelings, and symptoms associated with diagnosed mental illness. Mental health operates on a continuum. We all have good days and bad days, and our emotions are influenced by various factors that determine our position on the mental health continuum. Because of dark grey skies, money worries, bullying, work, exam stress, losing a loved one, relationship breakdowns, losing, lack of game time, we may have periods of poor mental health that makes us worried, angry, nervous, scared, and sad. There is nothing wrong with having periods of poor mental health. It's important to talk about your problems and ask for help. It must be noted that if any persistent feelings of hopelessness that impact negatively on how you function from day to day come over you, this may be a mental illness, and it's essential you seek professional help. Depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, and OCD are diagnosed mental illnesses, not poor mental health. They require professional help. Thankfully, a number of factors can play a role in supporting good mental health. No money worries, good sense of opportunities available, supportive relationships, great self-esteem. Take 5 steps for well-being. Be active, connect, give, keep learning, and take notice. Having good mental health means you are resilient and able to cope, in control, feel good, manage your emotions, build and manage good relationships. It is important that we as clubs create a culture that if anyone needs to talk, we are there and we care, and we can signpost to creditable support services.
All right. And
What is mental health?
sorry. So basically, the kits and the hats that you guys designed was very much in line with that video that we produced. Like I said, I've delivered this for the Irish Football Association since 2018, and over 800 coaches, leaders, people have participated in it, and the vast majority of them would do exactly what you guys did and split the hat into people would associate mental health, poor mental health, and mental illness all as one thing, when in fact, mental health by its very definition, a state of well-being where we realise our potential, cope with everyday stresses of life, and contribute to our community is very much positive. And the simplicity of it, that your health of your physical health, your health of your body, your mental health, the health of your mind. We all have good days and bad days, and I'll ask for a show of hands. How many people here have had a bad day? You know what I mean? We've all had periods of poor mental health, and like I said, if you look at some of the things that can support it through it, supportive relationships, people that care, people that listen, and that's what often gets you through it. But if it gets the sense of the feeling of hopelessness is the main thing that comes over you, then that's when you should start to seek help. And that's if you stop functioning your day to day, you're not concentrating, you don't want to get out of bed, and it's persistent longer than we say 2 weeks, ironically, and we'll talk about that next. But in Northern Ireland, they are the 2 fundamental statistics. So Lisa, I'll ask you a question as the sort of person that organises this. How many adult members do you guys have? Lisa? Lisa?
About 50?
50. So 1 in 5 of your adults, based on Northern Ireland statistics, potentially have poor mental health or mental health illness at this time. How many young people do you have?
130.
I don't know, I'm not never good at maths, but divide that by 8. And that's potentially how many young people you have with mental health, poor mental health or mental illness. And like I said, it could be something as simple as you may have someone going through, an adult going through a really difficult time, like a relationship breakdown or a death in the family. And the same for a young person who, I know a lot of young people we're working with now are sitting very anxious about their A levels and their GCSEs because they don't know what grades they're going to get, because they would normally rely on their tests to get their grades up. So it shows that there is, by our statistics, there is a chance that there is mental health issues within your club. So the next exercise, okay, I'm going to make it slightly shorter, and I'm going to put this in 2 teams, and I want one team who I'll nominate in a minute to identify everything within your club. Well, 5 things. We'll keep it short. 5 things within your club and the community that you reside in that negatively impacts on mental health and emotional well-being. And the second group, I want you to think about 5 things within your club and within your environment that positively impacts on mental health and emotional well-being. And I'm going to have Damien, your group will be positive. Okay. Kieran, McGurk, your group will be negative. Okay. So this is within, think about your club, about the positive impact. Okay. So Damien, the positive impact you guys have on mental health, and think about the community. Okay. And I want you to give me 6 things. Okay. 6 things. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. I think that's more than enough to get 6 things listed. And Kieran, I want you to think of the negative things within your club that have a negative impact on mental health and your immediate sort of surrounding community. So what some people bring their stuff in with them, okay? And then we'll have a chat about it next, okay? So we've got 3 minutes. Okay, guys? I'll nip in and see you and say hello. Okay. So I will Kieran and Damien rooms now. Okay.
Popularity.
Here we got then. We're negative. This should be easy. The negative bunch. It's deal with Ginger Herbie one. There's that a no one.
It's never been a problem for me anyway.
People in our club, everybody in our fucking club is ginger.
It's everybody.
Like one.
All the
Come on,
big
let's do
players
this
are
properly now.
ginger.
Negative.
All the big players.
You'll think right, so if you operate within the Falls, listen to Shara and Lisburn, right? So think about your club immediately. Give me 3 for your club, and then think about the areas where the people are coming from, what sort of social issues that they're bringing back in, which is negative. They could adversely affect their mentality within your club. That's just to make us think, because you'll see it every single day, and what it shows is there's lots of things that negatively affect mental health and emotional well-being. So that's a purpose of this class, is to get us thinking about the outside and the inside.
I would say popularity, especially for young kids, or how they perceive how popular they are.
We'll love his neighbours, we'll bounce into a positive group. Who's be all negative?
We're in the negative one.
Body conscious.
I was just about to say, yeah, but particularly with our sport.
Darren, have you still not been allocated? No. Assigned to. There you go. Darren, I've allocated you room 2, mate. Join that. Darren. Yep, good man. All right, guys, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, good.
There's more talking in the negative group than this is about positive. There's all sorts of answers behind it. They're gonna have a page rather than 6 points.
How many have we got?
Well, look here. Look, I've never. Give me. Just I'm interested. What's the positive impact? Water polo. It's a unique sport. What got you into? What's positive about it? I've never, like I
I
said.
suppose for my kids, my 3 play in the club. But because it is quite a small, they get the opportunity to be able to play. Where maybe like if the wee boy was playing football, he mightn't always get picked. I know he's only 6 and he's only learning, but if they were playing at football, they would be like, you're not good enough for the team, and they would be set on the sidelines and not always get to play. Or in water polo, it's kind of like that they all just get it. They all just get a go, which is, I think, is great.
So inclusive.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And it's the same. I'm saying with my girls, you know, that they're certainly not the best, but they go and they give their all, and they just love it.
No, that's
You know,
phenomenal. That's exactly the type of thing you want to hear when it comes to the positive impact the sport has on young people in particular, Deirdre.
yeah.
Anybody
And
else?
they certainly look up to the older girls.
Yes, I was
and
about to say that.
they just look up to those older girls, you know, that training, and they really aspire, you know, to be like them.
Role models. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to play water polo now.
And the female teams in Cathal are very good, aren't they, Deirdre? So
Yeah.
there's they're not sort of second fiddle to the male teams. They're
Hold their own.
maybe better.
Yeah.
They can
They're
hold
better.
their own, and that's good for young girls to see.
Yeah. And I think
Even though I only
as
have
well, the
boys,
girls,
but
I think for the girls, they promote really healthy kind of, because there's so much about body image and stuff like that. And I think that you see those girls, and they're strong, athletic girls, and they're out there, they're training. That's not all about this kind of Instagram and all that kind of nonsense. You know, it's about being athletic and sporty and being fit. And, you know, there's so much more than
the real
social
healthy,
media and all that there stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
the really healthy body image.
yeah.
I'm going to
about
love
being
this
fit and
movies.
stuff.
That's
But
fun.
I'm glad you said that because ironically they were talking in the negative about body image. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
we'll be a very good conversation happening next. But thank you very much, guys. Just coming to check if she was all right.
Okay.
All right.
So I
And yeah, we'll give another 60 seconds. Right, guys, welcome back.
Right there.
All right, guys, welcome back. I jumped into both rooms, and ironically, there was a conversation in the negative and the positive about sort of body image, which was very good to hear that sort of both groups have it in their mind, and there's two different perspectives on it, which means that if there's an issue with it, then there's solutions to basically deal with it. So I will start with a negative. Kieran, can you tell me about give me three or give me four of your negatives in
Right, I suppose, but we went through a few things because you've got the sort of just from the water polo and the sort of standard life, and then this current COVID situation. So one, a lot of the areas are socially deprived. You'd have money worries. So there'd be a lot of pressure on the parents and maybe the kids as well, because water polo is not a cheap sport. You have 4 or 5 trips a year, £200 a pop. The second one in the current situation is the lack of interaction the kids have. It's all online. Number 3 was the conscious body image. Obviously, you're stripped down to your skimpies in water polo. 4, the negative parts were if you're losing on a losing team, you don't get much time. You feel like a failure, And 5, I put down bullying as well, But I don't think the other one bought into that one.
No, it's on the bullying, we'll be doing a bit of work around sort of supporting clubs to deal with that. But look, that's brilliant. We'll go to the positive now. So who is speaking about the positive? Is that Damien again?
unfortunately
Designated speaker of Cathal
of this
Bruga.
group.
Go ahead.
Now, funny enough, there was a wee part raised with Kieran's there. Ours is actually sort of the flip side of it. So, okay, in the ideal situation we have, it's like, it allows the positivity, allows them to be active and they engage. So it's something for them to do. So when they are meeting up with their friends, so there's the social element. Being a part of the club, being a part of a team, there's the inclusion and a sense of belonging. And tying into being a part of a team, then you're learning new skills, not necessarily all the skills about playing polo itself, but you're actually learning life skills. And that's actually, we were tying into sort of what Kieran was saying on the negative. So say that they're losing a game, you can actually learn from that because that develops resilience. Unfortunately, life isn't always going to be roses, and at the same time, you will sort of develop not maybe a mental toughness. I don't know if I'm using the right words, but you know what I'm getting at. It just means that if it's okay to lose, and then you can use that to propel yourself to go further. Now we actually went on to a good image and being rolled. It was a good sort of body image, and in the sense that some of the players that we have allows the younger players to look up to and aspire to, and basically see them as role models and ambassadors for the club.
And I was just, because I made a note about Deirdre, had mentioned about sort of body image, but in a positive context, that because of the role model, that your ladies team is quite sort of competitive and quite good, and her young kids are aspiring to be like those young ladies, but in an athletic sense, not that for body image issues, but just to be athletic and be competitors and be like them in the context of competing in water polo, which I thought was very, very good in terms of body image role models. But you want to be like them because of their looks. You want to be like them because of their athleticism, because of how they conduct themselves, how they compete. And I thought that was actually a fantastic point raised by Deirdre. So the negative can be countered. Unfortunately, poverty, there's an anti-poverty strategy coming up. We can't do nothing about it. But there's a lot of stuff we can do in a club around utilising those outstanding young ladies as role models, or outstanding young men to aspire the next generation. Because I think that what I found the work that we do, particularly in North Belfast, if we get young people wanting to be like other young people, and young people are talking and being open and honest about how they feel, and they're not sort of glued to social media or trying to portray fake profiles, then that's only a positive thing for mental health and emotional well-being. So we can see that when it comes to mental health and emotional well-being, everything can negatively affect it, but on the flip side, a lot of things can counteract it. And I think sort of Damien sort of given almost an argument against a lot of Kieran's points, which was great. So I'm going to go back to the wee sort of presentation again. We are on task 2. So I'm going to give you a wee video. This is signs to look out for.
What signs should we look out for that may indicate mental health? At Cathal, we think sport. A, awareness. For 2 weeks or more, do things not seem right? It's perfectly fine to have a week off due to things like illness, holiday, or other commitments. 2 weeks or more should trigger us to check up on people. S, social isolation. Club members not showing up for training, or players who are there physically but are not there mentally, who seem uninterested and unfocused. P, physical health. Changes in appearance, weight gain, weight loss, scruffy, smell of body odor, messy, drop in performance level. O, obvious changes. Club members seem sad, moody, irritable, teary, angry, over happy, as if they're hiding something. R, reacting the wrong way, lashing out verbally or physically, acting out of character or dangerous behaviour. T, tough times. We all go through tough times. These can be caused by work, school, exams, bullying, relationship breakdown, struggling for game time, injury, or losing a loved one. If we notice any of these signs in club members, it's important to ask, are you okay and what's going on? Point out you have noticed some signs that worry you. Listen with an open mind and don't judge. Talk. Let them know it's okay to talk and not to keep things bottled up. Connect if anything concerns you. Signpost them to professional health-based services, Lifeline, Childline. Also, if you notice any of the sport signs in yourself, please reach out and ask for help.
All right. So, guys, this is sort of a wee video we made sport. I got an Australian resource. It was called Spada, and because I work on sport, I added the R and changed it around to make it sport. But it really is, when it comes to signs to look out for, they're the most sort of obvious ones. If you're concerned about someone within your club, so it could be a young person that is one of your kids, it could be a fellow coach, it could be one of your older players. Those are the most obvious changes that I could give you an example of, seen time and time again. Social isolation tends to basically be players stop coming. And not new players that you haven't, that just came, tried 2 or 3 sessions and not come back. These are players who have been there for a while, that you have a positive relationship with, that all of a sudden stop. The question should be raised, where are you? A week, dead on, they could be sick, 2 weeks, maybe they might be on holiday, maybe they might have coronavirus nowadays late, but any longer than that, then you should be reaching out and engaging for them. The other one is, and we've all witnessed it and I've seen it time and time again, are players who are there in presence, but they're not there in mentality. So they could be going through a raft of issues, but they're coming to the club because the club's an escape. But whatever's troubling them, they can't seem to leave it at the door. And it's about picking up on those signs. Again, it'll be people that you know and people that you have a positive engagement and reaction with. Physical health is weight gain, weight loss, sudden. So you could have someone, we talked about body image, all of a sudden is Christ dead and is working out like crazy, but they're not eating. That is a sign that there could be trouble, and it's worth having the conversation. Obvious changes is people breaking down, so you'll pick up on those easy enough. That's someone going through a hard time and they make it obvious and break down. I've had a case of a fella on a football team breaking down to his coach because his relationship was breaking down. He was removed from the home. He wasn't allowed access to his kids. The club listened to him. The club didn't get no magic wand. They couldn't get his relationship back. But what they did do was help him find affordable accommodation. And then they put him in touch with a project that deals with sort of supporting dads. They get access to their kids. After 8 months, he had his own place and he'd access to his kids and even a better place. So a club picked up on that and reacted the right way. Reacting the wrong way is whenever people lash out. So I'm a footballer and I've seen many people go into a nasty tackle or engage in violent conduct. But 9 times out of 10, our manager's reaction is to shout at them, ban them, and tell them not to come back for a few weeks. When realistically, that behaviour is often triggered by something that has happened before the match or has been building up, and the match has been the result where the person's lashed out. We need to be asking the questions about why bad behaviour has manifested itself and point out that you're concerned about them. Tough times, we've all been through them. And if we hear inklings or we know our fellow coaches are going through tough times or our players are going through tough times, it's about saying to them, look, I'm a listening ear. If you've got kids, 2 coaches for child protection purposes, but being a listening ear, tell them, look, I understand you're going through a difficult time. Exams are coming up. If you need to speak to anybody, speak to us and we'll try and get you a bit of help and support. And I'm going to give you all sort of more guidance and practical stuff to make that a reality. When it comes to being a club, it is about being a family. And that's one thing I found with the vast majority of clubs I have the pleasure to work with. They are extended families. They are the social element where people enjoy the escapism. It's getting away from, if I'm playing football, that isn't anywhere near me. For that 2 hours a week when I'm training, I'm playing with my mates, having crack, having banter, enjoying myself. And that's brilliant. I'm away from the distraction. So club is an extended family and you have to start to look at yourselves in that way. And you identify that you have role models. It's about putting programs in place to build on that, with those young role models support the players coming up, and that creates opportunities for the club. The immediate ones, if anybody's concerned, are Samaritans and Lifeline or 24-hour helplines. If anybody is really fundamentally at rock bottom, those organisations are great. And then there's the Shout, where you can text and speak to a counsellor via text messages if you prefer not to speak to them in person or via Zoom. Again, I will give you more advice and guidance on how to promote all this within your clubs. When it comes to mental health, and I'm glad to have a number of key representatives of the club and senior officials, do not, under any circumstances, put the onus of responsibility of 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 8 kids on one person and say, you're the mental health officer. Tick. Because I'll ask you a question, I'll ask you for a shake of your head or a nod of your head. Hands up, even hands up. Hands up who thinks it would be unfair for one person in a club to take responsibility of potentially 1 in 5 mental health problems of an adult and 1 in 8 mental health problems of a kid. Who thinks that's fair, unfair, to put that onus of responsibility? So the way to go about it is appoint a health and wellbeing committee and just have representation from your senior, your male, your female, your junior, and you guys should almost inadvertently support each other. Okay? Get a mental health action plan. I'll send you one. It's not that complicated. Connect with your local mental health support services. So you've identified you're based in West Belfast and Lisburn. You've got two phenomenal groups you could connect with: Suicide Awareness Support Group based in the Falls and Emerge Counselling based in the Lisburn area. Quick phone call to say, look guys, give us some resources, give us some advice, give us some guidance, anything up to date. Would you like to be invited to one of our committee meetings? All of a sudden you've got that presence of mental health and emotional well-being within your committee, which will enhance your capacity, your knowledge. A lot of committees I work with aren't going to go and do mental health first aid, which is 2 full days, because they haven't got the time. But what they will do is they will turn around and say, we'll take resources, we'll distribute them, and I'm going to show you when to distribute them on designated mental health and well-being days. We'll communicate to our players that we know Emerge Counselling, we know Suicide Awareness. If anybody has any issues, contact us, and we'll make contact with Mags Walker, or we'll make contact with Susan up in Emerge. And that humanisation of the connection enables you to better sort of turn around and say, look, I'm just going to be the listening ear for the moment, but I'm not an expert. And I can get you in contact with the experts. And that's what a lot of clubs that I work with are doing with great success. And then we look at all the negative stuff with mental health and emotional well-being, and all the positive stuff that you guys identified. Damien, in his presentation, he talked about the value of connect, take 5 steps for well-being. Connect, that's what clubs do. They create that connection, part of something, belonging. Be active is self-explanatory. They get people in the pool, get people active, get people engaged. When you're being active, it releases chemicals in your brain and it's good for you. Every single report in the world will say that. It's a positive thing. You guys are volunteers and outstanding leaders, and that has to be appreciated. And you talked about role models, which is phenomenal. Very rarely does that come up, but it should be underestimated. People that give their time, people that give their example, and people that aspire to be like that, role models. Give your time and create the opportunities for other people to volunteer within the club. Volunteering is good for you. I volunteer, it makes me feel good. I can see the difference I'm making in people's lives. That's why I do it. Keep learning. Damien had a brilliant sort of insightfulness about Kieran identified about losing. But if you learn from loss, you react better, you come back stronger, you learn from defeat. That's when you're going to get your most. You're going to get more from defeat in terms of learning than you are from victory. But you'll also teach them life skills. I thought that was brilliant too, that came across in your presentations. I wasn't a great footballer, but I learned to be resilient. I learned to be tough. I learned to respect. I learned discipline. I learned all that through being coached properly. And I think that there's what needs to be sort of praised within clubs. And then take notice. Now, take notice to me sort of, it's the abstract one. It's the one, take notice of the trees, the stars, the moon, the world around you. And I do appreciate that. And a lot of people would be advocates of mindfulness. I'm starting to get a bit of appreciation for it. I've never been a big advocate, but I'm starting to get a bit of appreciation for it. Take notice of the here and now. Take notice of the positive impact your club has on people's lives. Take notice of the fact that when kids and young people are with you, Deirdre alluded to how young people have a pathway where they feel included, where they don't feel excluded, where they've got the opportunity to take part and play, and it makes them feel good. Take notice of the amazing impact that as a club do have in people's lives. You are a big part of their lives. You're the social pillar within it. And if clubs start to take notice of that and take notice of the positive impact mental health and emotional well-being that they have, then they're going to have an even better impact. Because right now at this minute in time, when it comes to take 5 steps for well-being, you're doing it. When you realise you're doing it, you can do it better. And that will only add strength when it comes to mental health and emotional well-being for your club. And I say, when they do stuff around mental health and emotional well-being, do not try and do it every single day of the week, because you will put people off. The world gives you a calendar. So the second week of May is Mental Health Week. Kids Mental Health Week just passed in February there. Women's Health Week is the third week of May. Do something around women's mental health and emotional well-being. Men's Health Week is the second and third week in June. Do something for your men's teams around their mental health and emotional well-being, but also bring in other health issues, smoking, alcohol, gambling, and try and deal with issues that affect men. Summer, dedicate a match competition in mental health charity. I always advocate support your own. I'm not saying raise money for Tommy. Nah, raise money for suicide awareness or emerge. If they're based in your area, help your local groups, because that creates a relationship of we'll give you information and resources. You raise a few quid for us. It's all nice and it creates real positive relationships. World Suicide Awareness Day is the 10th of September every year. Raise awareness of suicide awareness on that day. And World Mental Health Day is the 10th of October every year. So what I'm getting at is when you make a strategic plan for mental health and emotional well-being for your club, put it out when the world gives you the opportunity to do it. So it coincides with campaigns, it coincides with world dates, and it makes it more strategic rather than I knew a club that for 5 weeks solid, they were promoting mental health, mental health, mental health. And it went from 100 people engaged to about 5 showed up to the last session because they just grew completely bored of it. But if you stagger it, and then you reinforce it the year after, and the year after, and the year after, that's when the message gets through. If you hit them everything at once, people forget. If you reinforce and do it in line with positive work dates, you'll make more of an impact. We have evidence to prove that that works. And that is sort of, I'm going to come out, but they're just my details. And I'm happy to hand it over to you guys for some sort of question and answers. I tried to keep it as short as possible. I could have put in more content, but 40 minutes was sort of the guideline that I was working to. So any questions, guys?
Joe, thanks very much. I really enjoyed that actually, and it was a bit of fun as well. But I think we all learned from that, and it's nice to know that we are doing something positive, but we also can improve on that. But I have a bit of a question, I suppose. So say you want to reach out during COVID, so where we are now. So say, for example, a 17-year-old boy who you coach and he isn't getting involved or he's kind of falling off the grid a bit. Kind of sending a WhatsApp message isn't appropriate because of child safeguarding. It's very difficult in COVID times to really try and get somebody on board or to make contact with them. And you don't always want to go to their parent and go, do you mind if I contacted your son because he's just kind of not getting involved? Do you know where I'm coming from with that? It's a difficult one. I don't know if you have the answer. I just kind of thought I would put it out to the club.
I'll go to my record. I'm not going to sit and try and make up an answer. We have consistent problems with that type of thing. What we try and do is we try and create sort of a group of 2 coaches and then try and invite a number of them along, and ideally specifically target the ones that we want to speak to. Unfortunately, you cannot, Lynn, you're right, you cannot contact that young person one-on-one unless you go directly through their parent. Now, if you feel the harsh line of it is if you feel there is a mental health problem or challenge there, then we're obligated as coaches and leaders to inform the parent under our sort of a child protection obligations. But I understand the reason why you may not want to do it. The key is then if Lynn and yourself or say Kieran or Lisa try and get them to come to a chat, they must come to the chat with 2 coaches present. One could just be there for observational purposes, but if you're really, really concerned for them, you could start a WhatsApp group with 3 people, believe it or not. So it could be Lynn and Stephen, and then go on and say, look, Jamesy, it's Lynn, I'm your coach. I'm really concerned about you. As long as there's someone there, another adult observing, then it's not a one-to-one conversation with a child. Okay. But don't get me wrong, it's not easy. And see, during these COVID times, it's even worse.
Yeah, because I understand people of all ages just are not interested at the minute. I understand people have got sickness at home or under, for whatever reason, and there is no underlying issue. But you just kind of want to reach out and go, do you know what? Come on, you'll enjoy it. Or, it's a difficult one, but it was just something to think about.
The other thing is, the more we won this, and what we tend to find is when we're trying to reach young people who are hard to reach, we tend to find that if we speak to the kids that we have a real positive relationship with, like we've a big team of young leaders and they're all sort of 16 to 24. We would go to one of our other 17-year-olds who we know is engaging and we'll say, tell them here, do us a favour. Will you contact such and such? We want to get them involved. And haven't seen him in a while, we're concerned about him, will you check up on him? And it's perfectly fine a 17-year-old contacting another 17-year-old. And as long as they're engaged in the group, that's a way to potentially do it. So usually identify role models. And I think my head's working overtime and I'll be in contact with Lisa about a potential program. I think you should be looking at that sort of role model type model where you've got your 16, 17-year-old leaders who, in the event that what you've just identified, Lynn, there's a concern about a player not engaging, that they take the lead in contacting them with a wee bit of information. What I'm going to give you guys is resources to distribute to people, to hopefully get people thinking, to get people to feel comfortable opening up and coming to the club. You can only do so much, Lynn, but if you're really concerned about someone, either go through the parent if it's a media concern, or if you just want them to engage, go through some of the young people who are engaging, that you do come to groups and say, there's a favour, look, contact Jamesy, and get them to try and take the lead to bring them in, because they can talk to them perfectly legally and there's no type of
No,
tax.
that's brilliant advice, Joe. And I'll take you up there. That's great. Thanks very much for that.
Any other questions? Kieran's getting ready to ask a question. Go ahead, Kieran.
I'm trying to get myself off mute again. Joe, do you have anything that you've designed for club websites? Are we sort of? I'm thinking of what's an easy way for people to get the information. Is there an easy thing? Because I know you were saying about the club should have a committee, and then there's resources and a sort of strategy. But is there any sort of like a wee one pager for anybody saying, here's a good checklist for you guys, and here's who to contact if you're feeling privately,
As part of the toolkit commitment we will give you guys, we will be giving you an action plan, a strategy of what to do in a crisis, a raft of resources of who to speak to, depending on your age. I will get the contacts for West Belfast and Lisburn. I'll give you those contacts too. We'll give you a complete customized, it'll be Cathal Bruga branded. I've actually got a big pop-up banner and all for you sitting up on the wee roof space that we've got in here for storage. We will give you everything you need to distribute to people in terms of information, and it's all sitting there ready to basically be customized and branded. It's the same toolkit we give out to the Irish Football Association clubs. I just have to get, my student was working on it yesterday and so work on it tomorrow. They make a Cathal Bruga because it was the first time we've done Waterpolo, so we're trying to find a lot of graphics that aren't GDPR breach, but we will give you a full toolkit, all the information around looking after yourself, saying to look out for that sport, and then we'll make a club relevant for you. So it's all there for you, buddy. It'll be coming to you by Friday. And you can put it on your website and you can present it and you can hand it out and you can do what you want with it. But as I say, strategically, we'll be giving us wee bumps as part of our Change Makers program to go, look, Mental Health Week's coming up in May. Put out this resource and hopefully as you're back in the water, we'll give us games to play, to promote mental health through play and do it that way. Plus, like I said, the role model thing has just came across so strongly. I've done up 3 programs. Our program in schools is based on a role model based program. I think you guys could potentially sort of take that and with Lisa's skill set, get a few quid and roll it out for yourselves. And I'll give you it. It'll all be as part of the support that we're going to give you. Anything else?
Just going to say we've got a few parents here, and it'd be really good if the parents could go back into their WhatsApp groups tonight and say, I thought it's been really useful. I hope you did too, but maybe just to say how good it was and that the club are really interested in doing something, and we are rolling out. We'll have a session like this where it'll be more games focused for teens and another one for the sort of under 12s. One in a couple of weeks and one towards late March. So having that, what's the word? Can't think of the word. Just, people sort of saying that something is good and worthwhile. It would be really good if the parents did that, because all too often it's me or the coaches trying to G people up and it doesn't always work.
Well, I'm going to try and make a kids one sort of a bit more like quizzy type things, just to try and make it a bit more engaging. We'll love to just be on Boston to get and play water polo. I'm just Boston, I'm excited by it. That's why when you approached me, Lisa, it was the first time I'd ever heard of water polo club. I've heard of water polo, but a club based in Belfast. I'm excited by the opportunity to work with you. I said this won't be the last time you see of me. This is basically an introduction, nice introduction. On this note, what I'll do is, Lisa, your toolkit will be ready by Friday, and I will have it circulated to you. And you can send it to your members for feedback, and I can make chops and changes and adjustments. And I will have the other 2 workshops will liaise to make sure they're conducive to the relevant age group and get the relevant messages across. Young people are more challenging in terms of you're going to be working with black screens and to try and make it as interactive as possible on Zoom. But what happened there? Oh, sorry, guys.